This answers the question of, can this place pay me for a long time? Can I be successful in this place because they've got their shit together? So the thing about being a leader in a business is that people have to work to live. So the level of responsibility changes because of what's at stake. To be seen as a good leader within a business, there are two kinds of trust you have to develop with your people. There's relational trust, which is something that depends on your level of people skills. And then there's operational trust. It's not discussed quite as often. This depends on your ability to understand, maintain, and build systems. My name's Cochran, and I started in the French Quarter in New Orleans over 20 years ago as a security guard. And when I left, I was overseeing operations for a $14 million organization with 8 brands across 14 locations. And now I teach leadership to business owners and operators. This relational trust is the one that is most commonly talked about with leadership, and for good reason. It is the crux that leadership is built out of. It's leadership in the abstract. It's the theory. It's the philosophy of what it actually is. And it's essentially the soft skills. That's how we normally refer to it. A little bit harder to measure, though, than some of the other things that happen in a business. So it's talked about a lot, but not often broken down to the level of behavior. And that's why in the impression leadership system, we essentially use your reputation as the measurement of the relational trust that people have with you, because essentially there's no other way to do it. It's interpersonal. It is what other people have come to believe about you given the behavior that you've had over a long enough period of time. And it goes to things like, an example would be, how able are you to create and maintain empathy with people? You know, empathy is one of those things that's a little bit misunderstood. It's a connection that you have with people that you not only create in moments, but it lives over time, especially when you're working around people for longer periods of time. Do they feel that on a regular basis? Do they know before they come to talk to you that they're about to sit down with someone who's willing to take the time and show the interest to really understand what they have going on? Do people freely share information with you and around you? So typically we might think of people bringing bad information to you. If they're willing to do that, that shows that you have some level of a leadership reputation that you should constantly be developing. But also, do they bring the good information? Are they sharing the wins and the losses with you? Because those two say rather different things. The bad that they're willing to bring shows that they trust you not to overreact, for example, not to shut them down or shut them out because they're bringing you bad news. But the good side is they want you to celebrate with them. If they've achieved something that maybe both of you set out for them to do, they want to not only let you know it was done, but they want your appreciation for it. They want you to show that you care, that not only are they avoiding the bad, but they're taking part in the good. Are you someone that is known to help people get from problem to solution in a healthy and clear way? Not just being an advice monster, helping them get to their solution and then supporting them after that. So this kind of trust, this relational trust, essentially answers the question for people: does this person care about me and what I care about? Not only do they value me, but they value what I value. Valuing me is something that's very important in the here and now, but valuing what you also care about is more of a long-term proposition. That's when you can see yourself aligned with a team or a company for a long period of time. So both of those are important, and strong relational trust answers both of those. Then there's operational trust, though, and this is equally as important. This answers the question of, can this place pay me for a long time? Can I be successful in this place because they've got their shit together? So the thing about being a leader in a business is that people have to work to live. So the level of responsibility changes because of what's at stake. So not only do they need to trust you on a personal level, they need to know that you understand your business well enough that you're going to lead them to success. It is not enough for a leader to have strong relationships if they have no idea how to run a business generally or their business specifically. So operational trust is absolutely key. This means that you have to understand systems. Define that as seeing everything individually and also how everything connects to everything else, because in a business, everything connects to everything else. If that's news to you, then the operational trust is probably where you need to focus most of your energy. Everything is integrated in a business. It's not a question of whether, it's a question of to what degree. You need to understand it all from the people to the P&L. So competence in business is not discussed nearly as often as the interpersonal side, but as I see it, the two are completely linked. You can't take one away from the other if you want to be seen as a good leader in business. So an example of this would be, let's take training, for example. Every company has to have some sort of training, not only for their new people, but also for people to progress in the company. But what does that actually mean when we break it down? What is training? What do you understand about it past that single word? And maybe another couple of words like practice, things like that. So first would be like cadence. How often are we training? Within each of those training times, what is the frequency of training? There's the order of training. So what are we teaching and when? Because if things aren't done sequentially, then we can't expect people to have a really good understanding at the end. Are we setting expectations on the front end for the training so that people aren't consistently surprised throughout our process? Validation, that the training actually stuck, not only the same day, but the week after and the month after and 3 months after. How do we do that? How do we actually verify that they know what we wanted them to know and that the quality is going to consistently be what we need it to be? How often are we retraining, depending on the skill? Most skills deteriorate over time, so we need to have some sort of understanding and plan for how often we're going to revisit this. Revising the training process as well. You know, as time goes on, we'll find things, if we're looking, that can be tweaked, modified. Perhaps we're getting feedback from trainees or trainers, as we should be, to enhance the plan, make it better than it was. These are all ways of looking at training as a system inside of a larger system, because training, good or bad training, affects retention, which affects pay grades, which affects promotions, which affects your public reputation as far as hiring. Are you going to be able to get the best people because you're known as a place that has great training and keeps great people? All of this is interconnected, and it's essential for you to know this to be a good leader in business. All the pieces have to fit together. And then, of course, there's the delivery of the training. You know, it's not only the what, but it's also the how. How are we speaking to people in the moment? How are we delivering this information? Because the message and the delivery are two different things. So to be a good leader in business, you have to establish both relational trust and operational trust. You cannot separate the two. To the extent that you try, you're not going to be seen as a great leader in business. If this kind of content works for you, it's the sort of thing you want to hear more about, please hit the subscribe button. We're going to be putting out these videos every week, and I'll see you for the next one.